Hello. I filmed the first half of this video yesterday twice, and both times it seems the file has corrupted. So we're gonna go for take 3, but I have already filmed the second part of this video, which did save, thankfully, also yesterday. So it's just gonna jump a bit weirdly, and I'm sorry about that. But essentially, what's happened is there was one year, I can't remember which year, where I did a top favourites of the year, and I do monthly reviews, which you may know if you've been watching me for a while. Every month I sort of wrap up everything I've seen or read or listened to, etc., or experienced, and I just talk about whether or not I enjoyed it. And so a lot of information is on there. At the end of the year, or like come the 1st of January, I'll also be filming lots and lots of videos where I'm going to go through my story graph wrap up. I'm going to be tier ranking all the books I read. I'm going to be tier ranking all the shows I've seen. I think those are the main things, but there might be other things as well. So I will go into more depth then. What I wanted to do for this year and for this moment before 2025 is over is go through my top favourites of this year. First of all, things that are new, and second of all, things that I just could remember. I didn't want to have to look through or watch back my reviews to see what I mentioned. I just wanted to go purely based of memory. The only thing I will say that I did is that I looked at my 2025 videos playlist and just looked at the titles and the thumbnails in case anything sprung out to me. So that's the only sort of memory jogging, is that the word? I've gone completely blank on the word, but memory reminding that I did. But aside from that, this is all just from what I can remember. Things that have stuck with me this year. And my first category was going to be movies, but I don't have anything that really feels, it really moved me or stayed with me. And maybe that's not true. Again, maybe I'm just forgetting things. I do know I've been to the cinema more this year than most other years. So there might be things in there, but there's nothing that I could remember. Like even Wicked for Good, which I did see most recently. It was good, I really enjoyed it, but I don't know if it was, it didn't necessarily stick with me in that same way as what I've got for some of these other favourites. Then for a TV show, I've just got one, and I feel like this one might have a recency bias to it because the second season just came out, and we've been watching it, or at least part 1 of the second season, so that's maybe why this one's on the list. I don't know if it necessarily would have been if that hadn't happened, but it's High Potential, which is a detective sort of comedy show, not quite like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, not quite as sitcom-y, but there's drama and a bit of comedy, and I really enjoy it. My laptop's making so much noise. I'm gonna close it. What a difference, wow. Also, I feel like the camera angle's funny. Also, before I continue, yesterday, which you'll see in a moment, I made a hot chocolate which was too hot for me to drink the entire time, basically, until the very end of the video. Whereas today, the opposite has happened, and I made a tea and I finished editing a video, and then I drank the tea before starting this video. And I just think it's funny that that happened in what is going to be the same video for you. Anyway, moving on to plays, I've just got the one, and this one is Much Ado About Nothing, which I saw right back at the start of the year. And one thing that I will mention in my reviews monthly, and also when I'm doing the tier ranking for shows, is that the actual experience of seeing a show will also add a lot to whether or not it sort of ranks highly or is memorable. And in this case, I had a really good experience. We sat front row, cheap tickets relatively, and I went with a friend who I hadn't seen in a while, so the whole experience around it was really, really good. And it was just so much fun. I had never read or seen another version of Much Ado About Nothing, and it was Shakespeare, and I was a bit worried that I wasn't going to be able to follow it, but for the most part, I did follow it, and it was just so fun. It was such an experience. It was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed it. And I feel like it's the play that I've spoken the most about. I've seen quite a lot of plays this year, but it's the one that I talk about the most. And similarly with my top musical of the year, and I saw so many musicals this year. I think I've beat my highest record for most amount of plays and most amount of musicals and most amount of shows, full stop. It's been a great year for theatre for me. But the one that came out on top is so unexpected to me. And it's one that if you told me at the start of the year I was even going to see or had even heard of, I would not have expected it. And it is Shucked. Now this is where my camera cut off last time, so I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but I know I was halfway through talking about it in the second part of the video, which you'll see in a moment, so I might repeat myself, and just apologies for that in advance. This show was just so silly. It was so fun. It was so unexpected, and it's the one that like I listened to the music so much, but the whole experience again. I mean, Regent's Park Open Air Theatre is wonderful, but like I've seen so many great new shows this year, and a lot of which I do still listen to the music to and like I'm still, they have stuck with me in another way, and so I definitely don't want to like rule those out or anything. But there was just something. I think it was like the unexpectedness of it, and also just like I just smiled the whole way through. And I feel like with a lot of the other shows, that wasn't the case. And that doesn't necessarily make a good show. I mean, Les Miserables is one of my favourite musicals. So is Heathers. So is Next to Normal. Those are not happy or fun shows. But yeah, I just had such a good time. So I'm now going to pass over to Past Me. As I say, I'm sorry if there's any repeats. And I'll see you at the end. Actually, I won't. It's just I'm going to let future me carry on. Past me carry on. Bye! I have now twice tried to film the start of this video, and twice it has stopped in the exact same place, not even like timing wise, but when I've been talking about the same thing, which is really weird. But I'm just hoping that one of those two will be okay to use, and if not, I'll have to refilm it another day. But what I was saying was that Shucked came really out of left field because it was so unexpected. This was probably the show I booked closest to when I went to see it. I think it was within sort of an hour, maybe an hour and a half of when the show started. And again, it wasn't a lot of money. I think it was maybe either 15 or 20 or 25 pounds. And I went with my sister, which is also a treat, of course. And it was the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre, which I also really enjoy going to and sort of seeing how they do things there. And the show really worked in that space and being outdoors. But it was just such a funny, silly show. And it was so unexpected. And maybe that's why it's on the top favourite. Because maybe it's just the fact that I went in with no expectations. I didn't even know what it was about. I knew it had come over from America and had good reviews there. That was the extent of my knowledge. So yeah, I'm so glad we went. But wow, what a like plot twist. Anyway, moving on to music, I've just got one album, and that is Dodie's new album. If you've been following me for a bit, you'll know that I have been a big fan of Dodie's for many years, and she released a new album this year for the first time in like 3 years, I think, and it's called Not for Lack of Trying, and I really enjoy it. And I also went to a concert of hers for the first time, and that was very exciting too. So again, that probably helps with making it a top favourite. Then I've got 3 books, and the first 2 of these came to my mind instantly. The third one I sort of had to be reminded of. But the first 2 are non-fiction, and they are ones I read earlier in the year. Number 1 is Desert Flower by Waris Deary. I read this one, again, early in the year. I think it was like February, March time. And oh my gosh, it is a tough read, but it is so good, so well written, so interesting, so important. So I highly recommend this book, but with caution because it is intense. And actually similarly for the second book, which is Uneducated by Tara Westover, again, an intense book, an insane book, but very interesting and very like eye-opening and just, yeah, intense again, but very good in my opinion. And then the third one is Beartown by Frederick Backman, and this is a fiction, which I read sort of alongside The Dear Hopefuls, so we had a lot of conversation about it, and I do find that I'm more likely to like a book if I've discussed it, or like I'll be more likely to remember it. And the reason why I remembered it actually only late is because I was reading the second book, and I'm now in reserve for the third. I've got the third one in reserve in my library. But again, an intense book, a powerful book, a very, very well-written book. But again, with caution, I would suggest this one. But it's so good. It's so, so good. But again, like these are the top 3 that I could think of, but I will be going through Storygraph where I will actually see what I rated each book at the time of when completing it, and then also doing a tier ranking just based off thoughts and feelings sort of after the fact of all the books I read in 2025. And there are quite a lot, so keep an eye out for that, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you for that in January. And then I've got 3 food items, all of which are quite random. And number 1 is absolute recency bias, which is a meal that Wayne made, and it's loaded wedges, which I never had before. I don't think it's a very kosher thing usually because I think it's with meat and then with cheese, and so we don't do that. But we've just been using vegetarian like shawarma meat, and it does the job. I mean, I don't know what to compare it to, but it is so good. So we are in fact having that again tonight. Then the second one is one that I really was like, it's a food item that you can just buy in a shop that I was introduced to this year, and it has changed my life. It is a gold bar. It is a chocolate bar that I had never even heard of before, and now I eat them at work all the time. Every day I'm there. I'm addicted to them. They're so good. And then thirdly, I have had these before, so this isn't brand new to 2025, but I hadn't had them like on my own accord, if you will, which is Sour Patch Kids. As I've mentioned in past videos, they are not vegetarian in the UK, but they're vegan even, I think, in Australia. So I got my parents to bring me 2 giant bags earlier in the year that I was using for running. That was like, it was running motivation, but then I finished my half marathon and I still had some left. So I've been enjoying those. They are gone now, but I do have my next flight to Australia booked. So I will get to them. I will be bringing more back and I'm very excited. They were really good. I like that they're vegetarian there and I don't like the fact that they're not here. Anyway, moving on to fashion, I've got 4. This is my biggest category, I think, somehow. Number 1 is one that's not actually new from this year, but it feels new. And again, I've spoken about this in vlogs. And it's this mint green sort of jumpery top. And I have had it for many, many years. I think at least 8, I would say, probably more. And I was always trying to wear it as a jumper, but it's quite thin. And also it's quite like, not totally form-fitting, but like quite tight. And so it was really hard to get over other tops. And so this year, I decided to start wearing it for the first time in years as a top rather than as a jumper, and it has been game-changing. It's really nice material, it looks nice, it's very gentle, it makes me very happy. And I've been wearing it a lot with item number 2, which is a brand new purchase of this year. And it's hung, weirdly, but it's this green skirt, which you would have seen me talk about, I think, multiple times, again, in vlogs and maybe even in my reviews. I don't wear long skirts. I also don't buy new clothes. But my mum, when we were in Greece, really desperately wanted to buy me something. And this colour just really stood out to me. It is so my colour. And I never, as I said, I never wear a long skirt. But I just thought this could be really good either for Shabbat and like for shul or for work as well. And so she bought it after literally a week of me umming and ahhing. And I've been wearing it a lot and it makes me very happy. So I'm glad in the end we went with yes. Then the second 2 are ones I didn't purchase, but I did get this year. I ran the London Winter Run, which is a 10K in London, as you may have gathered, and I fundraised. And when you hit certain milestones for fundraising, they sent you stuff. I'm gonna say the first of which, but actually this was the last item I got. This was the one you had to like fundraise the most for. And it is this gorgeous hoodie. I love the colour, it's very cozy, but especially I think the colour, like it's not a shade of blue that I have much of in my cupboard, but I think it really suits me. And even if it doesn't, I really like it, so I'm gonna wear it. And yeah, it's just super cozy. I love the design on the front as well. I love advertising that I did the winter run. I'm very proud of that. So yeah, overall very happy. And then the final item is actually one I don't have here, and that's because it's with my sort of summer closet. And that is the sweatshirt from the London Winter Run, which I lived in this year. It's similar to this colour, but a bit more grey, and it's such nice material. I'd never owned a sweatshirt before, and when I got it, I was like, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this, and as I say, I have lived in it. It's so cozy, it's so, like, perfect. Again, makes me very happy. So those are the fashion items, and I think my hot chocolate is finally cool enough for me to drink. Hang on. Yes. Now I've got 2 travel items, or whatever you want to call them. One is a location and one is a holiday I went on. So the location is Antwerp. I often went to Antwerp when I was a child and living in Holland, but then I haven't been in probably about, I don't know, in many, many, many years. I would say at least 10. And I went for Gatri, and I didn't spend very long in Antwerp, but I really enjoyed it. It's a really gorgeous city. It's very pretty. I kind of wish I had more time to spend there. So yeah, would recommend as a travel destination. And then the holiday. I actually took quite a lot of holidays this year, a bit unexpectedly. Spent a lot of time in Holland, spent some time in Greece and Italy with my family, but the top trip of the year is something that if you told me 10 years ago I did, I just wouldn't even remotely believe me or you. And that was the Dear Hopefuls trip to Wales. I've mentioned the Dear Hopefuls, I think, already a couple of times in this video, but in case you don't know who or what they are, we started a collab channel almost 10 years ago. It was February 2016, with the 3, well, actually it was with 7 of us. And the idea was sort of pen paling, but across YouTube. And we all met up through a Goodreads group regarding Carrie Hope Fletcher. Very convoluted, but there were 7 of us, and very early on it dropped down to 3 of us, and the 3 of us have been going for almost 10 years. But Sam lives in America. When we started, I lived in Australia, and Katie Rebecca is in the UK, and so we couldn't meet up for many years. And then I thought it was likely that we would meet up sort of maybe around 2019, 2020, and then obviously COVID happened, and so that went out the window. And this year, finally, I don't even know, I think it was Sam who said, let's do it. But we did it. So essentially I met up with strangers from the internet. Admittedly, I have known them for 9.5 years by that point, but still, that's crazy. But oh my gosh, it was such a good trip. I vlogged the whole thing there, and I actually watched the vlog back last night because I was thinking about it, and I was just like, it was such a good time. So definitely watch that if you want, and they also vlogged their perspectives of it. But yeah, it was such a good weekend. I don't even think it was a weekend. No, it was. It was just so good. So yeah, I have very fond memories, and I'm so glad I did it because do you know what? Obviously there's the thing of like, oh, I'm going to meet strangers, is that a good idea? But then there's also, for me, this huge, like, financial, what I feel like a burden. And it's not a burden, obviously, but I've spoken before about how I feel about spending money on anything. So spending money on something that I didn't know if it was going to go well or not, or, you know, like, how it would be, felt very risky for me. So I can't even imagine what Sam was doing buying a plane ticket. But yeah, even then, like, I'm so glad that I didn't let that stop me, and I just said, yes, I am going to spend money towards this because I want to do it, and I'm so glad I did. It was such a good trip. And we've all said we're hoping it's not going to be another 9.5 years until the next one. And then finally, I've just got one other, and I've already alluded to it as well, and that is the London Windsor Run. Just like an activity, or whatever you want to call it. I started running September 20 whatever your last year was, with this run in mind. Like, that was why I started running. And I fundraised a lot of money for Cancer Research UK, which, like, that feels really special and really important. And then also the fact that I did accomplish the 10K without stopping, like, that was a big deal to me. I ran the whole thing. And it was a really nice route, and it was a really nice, like, atmosphere. There was lots of fun things going on. There was so much happening. And it was so cool. Like, I've never attended a running event. I didn't even know these things happened. And when I remember getting on the tube and seeing people wearing the bibs and just being like, wow, that's so cool, like, there's other people doing this. And then we got out at, I think, Charing Cross Station, and it was just absolutely filled with people, and the roads were closed, and it was like completely filled with people all wearing their winter running gear, and I was just like, this is crazy. So yeah, that experience of running with that many people, and Sam did actually tell me, like, you are not going to believe it, and she was right. It was a very, very cool experience. Now, you may notice there's another run I did that I haven't added onto this list, and that's the big half marathon. And the reason why it's not on the list is because it was really hard. The 10K was hard, but I did it, and I was proud of the way I did it. The half marathon was really hard, and it was a very hot day. It was like 25 degrees, there was no cloud cover, there was no breeze, it was just awful, awful. And I was practically crawling to the finish line. I'm still pretty pleased with my time, like, overall, and the fact that I did it, but I don't feel like I've got as good, and also how it ended was more chaotic, because Wayne was there and he was going to greet me, and then he got terribly lost, and just in the end I think I waited like an hour and a half for him, and then we got home and we'd lost the key, and like, it was just a whole thing. So I feel like the whole day is just slightly more tainted, whereas the London Winter Run, it was like a fun day, and also obviously a 10K, like, it isn't that long, whereas the half marathon was like the whole day. So yeah, would I do the half marathon or any half marathon again if someone got me a spot? Of course I would. Of course I would. I've said this before. If someone gave me a spot to a full marathon, I would do it. I would be absolutely insane for doing it, but I would try. Same with the big half, and especially with the 10K, which is now coming up soon, and I haven't got a ticket for, because you have to pay. I don't like paying. But if someone were to gift me a spot, my goodness, I will vlog the heck out of that. But yeah, I had a very good experience, and I would so gladly do it again. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope the first part of this video saved. If not, you're gonna have to see me in like another context saying it all again. This might be the last video of 2025, which is crazy. Oh no, I need to do like a reflection on the year, because as I said that, I was like, oh, I have some thoughts. So I won't make this the last one, but there's not going to be many left. But then there are so many fun ones coming in January, and I can't wait for them. I always get so impatient for the like end of the year so that I can film them. Let me know some of your top favorites of the year. Let me know if you've seen or heard or read any of these things I've discussed. And yeah, let me know if there's anything you recommend that I get to in 2026. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys soon. Bye!